There comes a moment in your life where silence gets louder than the noise, where the H in your heart feels heavier than the weight on your shoulders. And in that moment, when the world's looking at you like you don't belong, like you're not enough, like you'll never rise, something inside you whispers, this ain't where your story ends. You may be tired. You may be broken. You may be doubting every step, every decision, every tear you've cried in the dark. But I want you to lean in and listen. Because I'm not talking to the version of you that's doubting. I'm speaking to the queen in you that's been buried beneath disappointment, heartbreak, and fear. You see, a queen doesn't wait for validation, she creates transformation. Not tomorrow. Not next month. But right now, if you give me just 1 week, just 7 days, and the courage to follow through, your life can look nothing like it does today. Because real change isn't about chance, it's about choice. So let me give you 5 rules. Just 5. And if you live them, breathe them, own them, they won't just change your week, they'll change your destiny. The first sound you hear in the morning shouldn't be chaos. It shouldn't be the buzzing of notifications or the noise of comparison creeping in through a screen. It should be the sound of your breath. Steady, strong, alive. Because the very fact that you woke up means purpose still has work for you. You are not here by accident. You are not alive just to repeat yesterday. That breath in your lungs, that's proof you've been given another shot to write a different story. And how you begin your day will set the tone for how your life unfolds, not just today but always. Too many people open their eyes already defeated. They wake up late, reach for distractions, and wonder why nothing feels meaningful. But your mornings are sacred. They are the starting line to a life that could look completely different. If only you'd treat them with the reverence they deserve. When you rise with no direction, you become reactive, not powerful. You spend the day dodging problems instead of walking with purpose. But when you wake with intent, with your mind tuned to gratitude and vision, everything shifts from the inside out. Start by reclaiming your mornings. Not just by getting up early, but by waking up on purpose. Remind yourself who you are and who you are becoming. Instead of scrolling, start by sitting in silence or journaling your intentions. Ask yourself, what kind of woman do I want to be today? Not someday, not when things get easier, not when people finally support me. Today. Set a tone for your life before the world has a chance to set it for you. You've got to understand. Mornings aren't just about routine. They're about rhythm. The rhythm of who you're choosing to be and what you're deciding to create. A queen doesn't rise because the world gives her permission. She rises because she knows her worth doesn't sleep. Before the world sees your face, make sure your soul has woken up. Your power doesn't lie in your alarm clock. It lies in what you do the moment your feet hit the ground. Think of every morning like a contract. The universe hands you 24 hours and asks, what will you do with this breath, this body, this brain, this moment? You don't need to have it all figured out. But you need to meet the day with intention, with posture, with a decision that no matter what comes your way, you won't let the day own you. You will own it. Because the difference between a week that changes your life and one that steals it lies in how you start your day. You cannot transform your life if your mornings stay the same. If you keep waking up with dread instead of determination. If you keep rushing instead of reflecting. If you keep giving your time away before giving yourself a moment to breathe, the world will take everything from you if you don't learn to hold space for your own vision. And that starts not in the middle of the chaos, but at the very beginning. The moment you rise. Some of the greatest victories you'll ever win won't happen in front of crowds or cameras. They'll happen alone, before the sun rises, when no one's watching. They'll happen when you choose to pray instead of panic, reflect instead of react, prepare instead of procrastinate. Your mornings are your training ground. They're where discipline is built, mindset is sharpened, and self-respect is restored. Don't underestimate the power of one intentional morning, and then another, and another. Stacked one on top of the next like bricks in the foundation of a life you're proud to live. If you've been living on autopilot, it's time to switch to manual. Time to take the wheel back. You deserve more than a life that just happens to you. You deserve a life you create with clarity and heart. And that kind of life begins long before the world ever sees you. It begins when you decide that your mornings are no longer up for negotiation. Your energy is not a bottomless well. It's not meant to be poured into everyone and everything without boundaries. You only get so much each day, and what you give it to shapes who you become. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. Not everyone has earned the right to sit at your table, to know your thoughts, or to weigh in on your journey. You are not being rude for protecting your space. You are being wise. A queen does not open the palace gates to just anyone. She decides who enters based on how they honor her presence, not how loud they demand it. There are people who will smile in your face but starve your spirit. People who pretend to support you but drain you with every interaction. Every conversation leaves you more confused, more tired, more unsure of yourself. These are not your people. These are distractions dressed as companions. Your spirit knows the difference. That quiet heaviness you feel after being around them is not just in your imagination. That's your intuition begging you to listen. Protecting your energy means learning how to trust that feeling and walking away without guilt. You have to stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefit from you not having any. Your no doesn't need a speech. Your silence doesn't need an apology. The version of you that over-explains, over-gives, and overstays in places you've outgrown, she's tired. And she should be. Because every time you let someone take a piece of your peace, you abandon yourself just a little more. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate, and a queen who knows her worth doesn't make her energy a charity. Not everyone is coming to build. Some are coming to take. To take your time, your confidence, your power. You must become a better gatekeeper of your soul. You must learn how to be okay with being misunderstood if it means being at peace. The truth is, you don't need to explain your healing to anyone. If someone doesn't respect your growth, it's because they were only comfortable with your brokenness. Your light will irritate those who are committed to the dark. Let it. You cannot pour into others if you're running on fumes. You can't show up for your dreams if you're constantly cleaning up the emotional messes of others. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's strategic. It's understanding that your dreams require fuel. Your healing needs room, and your peace is not up for negotiation. You owe it to the woman you're becoming to stop handing out pieces of yourself to people who don't know how to carry them. Sometimes, protecting your energy means saying no to invitations, even the ones that seem tempting. It means stepping away from conversations that pull you back into smallness. It means not responding to the drama, the bait, the noise. Silence is a power move. Distance is an act of self-love. You don't have to fight every battle or attend every argument you're invited to. A queen knows her presence is a privilege, not a public service. There's a sacredness in solitude. There's power in choosing stillness over performance, depth over popularity, alignment over attention. When you protect your energy, you begin to see who's really in your corner. You begin to see which connections feed you and which ones bleed you. And in that clarity, you rise. You rise not because you have more time, but because you've reclaimed what was always yours. Your space, your voice, your light. The people meant for you will never ask you to shrink, to dim, to deplete yourself to keep them comfortable. They'll respect your space because they respect your spirit. But that begins with you. It begins with how you honor your own energy, how you draw your lines, how you walk away not with bitterness but with grace. Because when a queen protects her energy, she doesn't just survive, she reigns. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper, trembling, quiet, afraid, saying, just take one step. And that's all it takes. One step toward the unknown. One step toward the version of yourself you haven't met yet. One step away from fear and into faith. But that step, it will shake you. Your knees might buckle. Your voice might crack. Your heart might beat so loud it echoes in your ears. And still, you take it. Not because you're fearless, but because what's waiting on the other side of that fear is worth more than your comfort zone. We're taught to wait. Wait until we're ready. Wait until we're confident. Wait until the stars align, the money's right, the timing's perfect. But nothing grows in waiting. Perfection is a lie that keeps you paralyzed. The truth is, readiness is a decision, not a feeling. You become ready by moving, by risking, by stepping forward even when everything in you is screaming to stay still. The people you admire, the women you call strong, they didn't wait. They moved while shaking, they spoke while trembling. They said yes while afraid. And that's what made them powerful. There's something sacred about the first step. It's raw, it's unpolished, it's vulnerable. But it's also the most honest act of faith you'll ever make. Because in that moment you're choosing belief over doubt. You're choosing growth over fear. And you're saying to the universe, I may not know how, but I trust that I'm meant for more than this. And let me tell you something. That kind of belief, it shifts things. It opens doors that hesitation would have kept locked. It calls opportunities into your life that only the bold get to meet. The first step may not be glamorous. It might not come with applause or recognition. In fact, It may come with silence, with solitude, with people questioning your choice. You might look foolish. You might fail. But failure is not falling, it's refusing to move at all. If you wait for certainty, you'll be stuck in the same place, wondering what could have been, watching other people live the life you were too scared to chase. Don't let fear become your legacy. Let movement be your message. There's a version of you you haven't met yet. She's stronger, wiser, fiercer. She walks with authority, speaks with grace, and moves with purpose. But she doesn't come from comfort. She's born in the fire of the unknown. You don't become her by wishing. You become her by walking through fear like it doesn't own you. Even if your hands shake, your voice trembles, your knees give out, keep moving. Because you are not your fear. You are the one who faces it. The step doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Start the business with what you have. Say yes to the opportunity that scares you. Speak the truth you've been burying. In what's no longer serving your soul. Apply for what you think you're underqualified for. Book the ticket. Make the call. Begin. Because beginnings are powerful. They may be messy, but they are magic. And you are not too late. You are not too broken. You are right on time to start again. There is bravery in doing things scared. There is strength in choosing to act before the fear leaves. Because fear doesn't disappear. It adapts. It disguises itself as logic, comfort, even love. And if you listen too long, it will convince you to stay small, to stay hidden, to stay stuck. But you weren't born to live half a life. You weren't made to only survive. The queen in you deserves to lead, to rise, to step boldly even into the unknown. And it all begins with that first shaky, sacred step. No one else can take that step for you. They can cheer for you, pray for you, wish the best for you. But you have to move your own feet. You have to rise up from where you are and say, I may not have it all figured out, but I trust myself enough to begin. That's the difference between staying in place and changing your life. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move through it. Because even if the step shakes you, it will still shift your entire path. You would never look at someone you love and call them worthless. You would never point at their flaws and say, you'll never be enough. So why do you say it to yourself? Why do you let your inner voice become the harshest critic in the room, when it should be your loudest ally? Somewhere along the line, you started believing that being hard on yourself was the same as holding yourself accountable. But there's a difference between discipline and destruction, and every time you speak to yourself like you're a failure, you plant seeds of self-doubt that grow into silence, hesitation, and shame. You've survived things you don't even talk about. You've held yourself together on nights when your world felt like it was crumbling. You've shown up, even when you didn't know how you were going to make it. That alone is enough to earn your own respect. And yet, you still talk to yourself like you're not worthy. Like you haven't done enough. Like you don't deserve grace. If you had a friend who went through what you've been through, you'd hold them with tenderness. You'd say, I'm proud of you. I see your effort. I see your strength. You'd remind them of their beauty in the middle of their brokenness. The truth is, the way you speak to yourself is the foundation of everything. Your thoughts shape your identity. Your words shape your beliefs. And your beliefs shape your life. Every time you call yourself weak, you make it harder to rise. Every time you say, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm not enough, you cut away at the very roots of your self-worth. But when you shift the dialogue, when you start saying, I am learning, I am healing, I am worthy, even if you don't fully believe it yet, something inside you begins to respond. Your spirit begins to bloom in the warmth of your own compassion. Loving yourself in words isn't delusion, it's survival. It's saying, I may not be where I want to be, but I still matter. It's choosing to build yourself up instead of tearing yourself down every time you make a mistake. Growth doesn't happen in shame, it happens in safe spaces. And the first safe space you'll ever need is the one within your own mind. If your thoughts are violent, if your words are cruel, you become your own enemy. And a queen cannot rule her world if she's at war with herself. Start by noticing the tone. Would you talk to a child the way you talk to yourself? Would you tell your little sister that her dreams are impossible? That her body isn't good enough? That she's too much or not enough all at once? You wouldn't. You'd speak life into her. You'd pour encouragement into her bones. So do the same for the girl you used to be. The one still living inside of you, waiting for kindness she never received. She's listening. She's aching for your voice to sound like love, not judgment. When you get up in the morning, don't just look in the mirror to fix your flaws. Look to affirm your value. Speak the words you've always needed to hear. I am powerful. I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to change. I don't need to be perfect to be proud. Let those words become the rhythm of your day. Because the more you hear them, the more you believe them. And belief is the birthplace of transformation. It begins not in what others say to you, but what you say when no one's watching. You don't heal by hating yourself into a better version. You heal by loving yourself into a stronger one. Speak grace over your scars. Speak pride over your progress. Speak softness over your story. You are not the sum of your worst moments. You are the masterpiece being built from every broken piece you decided to gather and carry forward. And that deserves celebration, not condemnation. Speak like you matter, because you do. This voice inside of you is powerful. It can either chain you or free you. It can either bury you in lies or resurrect you in truth. And the beautiful thing is, you get to choose. You are the author of your inner dialogue. You are the one who can turn pain into poetry, self-hate into healing, silence into strength. So let your words become the wings that carry you home to yourself. Let your thoughts be the light that pulls you from the dark. And when in doubt, speak to yourself like someone who finally knows she's worth saving. The way you end your day writes the final sentence of your daily story. And how you close each chapter matters more than you think. Because every day, you're either feeding your power or fueling your excuses. You're either getting closer to the woman you're meant to be, or giving in to the lies that keep you small. Too often, we end our days with guilt. With a list of things we didn't do. With heavy sighs and scrolling fingers, numbing ourselves to sleep. But a queen doesn't tuck herself into excuses. She ends the day in alignment, in reflection, in truth. You don't need perfection. You don't need to have checked every box, conquered every goal, or impressed every person. What you do need is honesty. Did you show up for yourself today? Did you protect your peace, honor your growth, take even the smallest step toward your purpose? That is power. That is how self-respect is built. Not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, consistent decision to live like your life matters. Because it does. And when you treat your minutes with value, you begin to build a life rooted in intention. Excuses are clever. They'll tell you you're too tired, too late, too far behind. They'll convince you that rest and laziness are the same thing. But deep down, you know the difference. You know when you've truly given your best, and when you've allowed comfort to speak louder than calling. There's no shame in struggle. There's no shame in rest, but there is sorrow in giving up on yourself a little more each night. There is pain in choosing excuses so often that you forget what it feels like to walk in power. To end the day in power is to pause. Not to punish yourself, but to reflect. To look at your own choices without judgment and ask, where did I lead and where did I follow fear? It's a habit, just like brushing your teeth, to check in with yourself before sleep. To ask, did I speak with love? Did I move with purpose? Did I protect my dreams? That kind of nightly honesty doesn't weaken you. It strengthens your direction. It teaches you how to pivot, how to evolve, how to rise with more wisdom tomorrow. The woman you want to become isn't built by accident. She's crafted in moments when no one is watching. When you choose to send one more email instead of procrastinating. When you choose to speak truth to yourself instead of lies. When you put the phone down, close your eyes, and visualize the life you're building instead of escaping the one you're living. That's where transformation begins. Not in some distant future, but in the sacred final minutes before your head hits the pillow. Ending the day in power also means giving yourself credit. We are so quick to tear ourselves apart for what we didn't do, and so slow to acknowledge the courage it took to simply keep going. Sometimes surviving is enough. Sometimes pushing through your thoughts, managing your emotions, staying soft in a hard world. That is the work. Give yourself that grace. Count the small wins. Power doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it's just keeping your promise to yourself, even when no one else knows. And maybe tonight you didn't get it all right. Maybe you lost your temper, missed a goal, fell into old habits. That's okay. That's part of the process. But don't let the missteps turn into self-sabotage. Don't let one moment of weakness become your new standard. You are allowed to reset. You are allowed to close your eyes and say, tomorrow, I rise different. That's the beauty of life. You can always choose again. And every time you choose power over excuses, you rewrite the story. So before the world quiets and sleep comes, take a breath. Reflect, speak life over yourself, celebrate your strength, learn from your mistakes, and honor the woman you're becoming with the kind of presence she deserves. Because when you end the day in power, you don't just sleep. You prepare. You align. You reclaim every piece of yourself that the day tried to steal, and you remind your soul this story is not over. This journey is still unfolding. And you're still in control.